here we are in, I forget what the name of this park is, but it's a beautiful park in Fukuoka. We've been all around this past few days, and this is our last day in Japan.
Yeah, we've been here for a month, 5 weeks.
But most people who come can't spend that much time here. We've got lots of questions.
Yeah, from Instagram, I asked our followers what questions you have about Japan, so we got a bunch of questions. A lot of people are very curious about Japan, and I totally understand why.
Absolutely. So anything you might want to know about coming here, how long to stay, where to go, all those things, we're going to answer them in this episode. So one of the first questions that we got was, how many days should I spend in Japan? So what do you think? How many days should you really allot to enjoying this place?
The rest of your life.
For people who can't move to Japan.
If you're just using your vacation time, I would say use 2 weeks.
So break those down into individual places.
Yeah, so most people come for the main cities, Tokyo, Osaka, and Kyoto.
And those called
The Golden
Golden
Triangle.
Triangle.
Tokyo is the capital. It's enormous. There's so much to see, so much to do.
Very well known for its nightlife and its city attractions. It's a giant built-up city.
Then you have Osaka, which is called the kitchen of Japan. A lot of food, really good food, street food.
It's the birthplace of takoyaki.
There are takoyakis in every corner. And there's a lot to see there too. It's a very nice city as well. And then you have Kyoto, which is even smaller than Tokyo and Osaka, but it's very historical because it used to be the capital of Japan.
Yes.
So you have a lot of castles and temples and shrines and beautiful sites to explore. I think at least those 3 cities you should visit if it's your first time in Japan.
So how much time should you spend in one versus the other between Tokyo, Kyoto, and Osaka?
This is how we did it. We spent most of our time in Tokyo just because it was so big. There's so much to do and so much to explore.
Absolutely.
And there are also day trips you can do from Tokyo as well. The second chunk of time, we spent it in Osaka. And then Kyoto is where we spend the least amount of time because it's smaller, but there's a lot of tourists coming in, so accommodation can be more expensive. But there is a lot to see, but it's still smaller. So I would say the way we did it, which I think worked for us, was spending most of the time in Tokyo, then Osaka, and then Kyoto.
I agree. I'd say spend whatever time you have, spend at least half of that in Tokyo, because the majority of the stuff you want to see is in Tokyo. That's Sky Tree, that's all the temples and shrines, that's
Fish market.
The fish market, Shibuya Crossing. But the thing is, outside of the Golden Triangle, there's a lot of places in Japan that you really want to check out. Right now, our final city before we fly out, we're in Fukuoka. We spent a couple of days here, and honestly, it's been a breath of fresh air because if you go into that Golden Triangle, there's lots and lots of tourists. But when you go outside of those cities, you get the place all to yourself. There's far less people. You get to actually sit down and enjoy your time. We went to a shrine the other day, and it felt like for the first time we got that, I don't want to say religious experience, but it felt peaceful and quiet and like a sacred place, as opposed to going to literally any of the shrines in Kyoto, which all feel like packed, cramped tourist attractions.
Yeah, Kyoto was definitely the place that felt the most crowded with tourists because there's a lot of history there.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people come also for day trips, so you got a lot of those big tour groups coming in as well. Yeah, being here in Fukuoka has been definitely so much more relaxing. Barely any tourists. We really haven't seen a lot of foreigners here.
Oh yeah, it feels like we're the only foreign faces we see in the crowd. The rest is touring Japanese.
Yeah.
So here's our next question. Is Japan expensive to visit?
Yes, it is.
I'd follow it up with a hell yes.
Yeah, it's very
Hell
expensive.
yes, it's expensive.
This is the thing. You can find cheaper options for sure. For example, for food, you can go to supermarkets or convenience stores, which are in every single corner. 7-Eleven, Family Mart, Lawson. There's a lot of these convenience stores that sell actual good food for way cheaper than you would find at a restaurant. But of course, if you're in Japan, you want to try Japanese food and you want to go to some restaurants. So be prepared to spend some money on that, especially on the high-end stuff like sushi or the Wagyu beef.
Yep.
Those Japanese specialties are going to cost you. And also, of course, where there are more tourists, the accommodations are going to be a little more expensive too.
Yep.
Transportation is extremely efficient and great and clean and on time all the time, but it's not super cheap either.
No. It's all the other things, but it's not. You get what you pay for, and what you pay for is a really great experience. Cleanest public bathrooms in a public transportation system we've ever seen, but you can spend like $10 going from one end of the city to the next.
Yeah.
It's easy
also,
to do
most parks and gardens charge entrance fees.
Yep.
They are worth it, but again, you have to pay. And sometimes it's $2, $3, $5, $8, $10.
Yeah.
It varies. So yeah, be prepared to pay pretty much for everything.
Absolutely. There are ways around it, but in general, it's not a cheap place to visit.
Yeah. It's worth it though.
Can you get around easily in Japan using only English?
We have.
Yeah. We don't speak any Japanese.
At
and
all.
It wasn't that difficult.
No.
It wasn't that easy.
Yeah. All we know is konnichiwa, arigato.
But yeah, and we say it a lot.
And we say it a lot. But it wasn't that hard, honestly. People are so nice and kind that they don't make you feel bad. They really try. They really go the extra mile to help you, even if they have to spend time there with you while you figure out the Google Translator situation. They'll wait for you, which is amazing. That makes a difference for sure. Not a lot of people speak English all the time, but I think at least in the main places like at metro stations or stores, people at least can speak like enough for you to be able to know at least which way to go or what to click.
Not only are the people really trying, but what helps is that most of the signage in the country is in English.
Yeah.
So you'll go to a vending machine, because most restaurants have vending machines outside where you gotta press a button to put in your order. And sometimes, most times I would say, they'll have the menu options in English.
Or they have photos.
Which is super helpful. So you can get by. It's not the easiest thing in the world, and you gotta have a little bit of patience, but if you can really slow down, just jump into situations where you know you'll be fish out of water, you can make it happen.
And Google Translator is like savior for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
We have had conversations drunk at a bar with a Japanese person using the Google Translator app. So it works.
You can make it work. Someone asked, is it really easy to try ramen in Japan?
Oh my God, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Probably a couple of ramen bars per block.
Oh my God. It's one of the cheapest, nicest meals you can get too. You don't really have to look that hard to find quality, because we haven't had a bad bowl of ramen in the entire country.
And we had like almost 10 bowls of ramen during the time that we've been in Japan.
Yeah.
And we loved each one of them. They were all different because each ramen place, their chef has their own special recipe. And yeah, it's one of the cheapest meals. We paid between $7 to $11 per bowl.
Yep.
It varies, obviously. But yeah, it's been amazing every time, and it's a very filling meal.
You leave there full.
Yeah.
And every restaurant, they only have maybe 3 different kinds of ramen, so you don't even have to sit there and think that hard about what you need.
Yeah, sometimes they only have one kind.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like when you go, try to go to the actual very like small traditional ramen bars, which are really small, only about maybe 10 seats. And they have a vending machine outside where you have to pay and pick what you want. And then the machine gives you a ticket. You hand the ticket to the waiter and then wait for your turn whenever a seat opens up. And then you sit there, you get your ball, you slurp your noodles. And it's been one of my favorite meal experiences in Japan.
It's been one of mine too. It was something that we had a lot of, and every single bowl was good.
Yeah.
I asked my friends who lived here for a time, I was like, do you have any recommendations? And they're like, you don't need them. Just find any place.
Yeah.
And
Food
you'll have
is
a
so
good bowl.
good. Food is so good here. Honestly, it will be hard to find a place where you have some bad experience, I think.
Yeah. I can't think hard about a single meal that we had that was bad.
No.
Is the sushi in Japan actually better?
Whoa, 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 whoa. Stop the video. We've got a lot more to say about sushi in Japan. There's no way we can sum it up in just a few seconds.
Lucky for you, we've made a whole video about it, where we taste test $1 sushi versus an expensive bowl of chirashi sushi from one of the largest fish markets in the country.
Click the link in the top corner of the screen to watch it now, or keep watching and check it out at the end of this video. Someone also asked about transportation. So what would you say about transportation?
The transportation, it's great here. It's never late. We've never had to wait more than a few minutes to get a bus, the subway, or a ferry. And what's really great is that your phone is your best friend. Google Maps is so useful in this country. You type in a destination and it can get you there wherever it is. Super convenient.
And it tells you how much it's gonna be, how often it will come, what time the next one comes. It's really useful. You really need this app on your phone if you're coming to Japan.
They have Ubers and taxis and stuff here, but they are expensive.
Yeah.
Like, it's not worth doing it, honestly, for the price that they charge you. We've gone through Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto, and Fukuoka, and we've never had to get into a cab or an Uber. All public transportation, all subways, bullet trains from one end of the country to the next.
Yeah. The bullet trains can be sometimes more expensive or the same price as a flight, but honestly, it's a really nice experience. It's easier too to get than using the airport and the airplane. So, yeah.
It's a really comfortable experience too. The chairs are really nice, and you have a lot of places selling lunch boxes that are all really close to it. Everything is so convenient. It's just the price isn't, it's not cheap.
Also, there is a thing called the JR Pass that is only for tourists, and basically it's for the Japan Rail system. They only have packages that are for 7, 14, or 21 days. Obviously, it goes up in price depending on the amount of time that you want to use it. So if you don't use it during that time frame, then you lose money. We didn't buy it because it didn't make sense for us. So it really depends on your itinerary. Just make sure that you check before you just go ahead and buy it.
So we didn't get a pass because it didn't make sense for what we were doing. We bought a regular IC Metro card. We would just load it up with cash. And even though we bought it in Tokyo, it worked in every city we went to. And it's pretty convenient. You just load it up with cash and you can use it for everything. So that's what got us through. Japan is amazing. Like, it's a beautiful country. I've only been here now twice, but I've enjoyed every time, and I know we'll be here a third time.
Oh, yeah.
So I can't help but recommend this place highly enough. Like, seriously, if it's been on your bucket list for a long time, as a lot of people tell me, I mean, it's not cheap. Save up the money for it. It'll be more expensive than you think it is, but it's worth it. It's a beautiful country. It really is.
Yes, I agree with you. A lot of people that have told me they have Japan in their bucket list, they've said that the things that kind of stop them is that it's far, that it's expensive, and the language, which I understand. The language is completely hard. It's very hard to understand, for sure. But honestly, no excuses, because all of those things you can manage as a tourist here. You can speak English, you'll be fine. Use Google Translator. The money, save up money, or come for a shorter period of time. Come for 2 weeks or so. Save the money for it.
Or make sure you can find different ways to like go to capsule hotels and spend money at the convenience stores, so you're not eating every single meal out at a big expensive restaurant.
Exactly, yeah. Find ways to spend less money, and look for cheaper flights. Like, look for don't come during high season. Come during low season. That maybe flights will be cheaper. But honestly, don't let any of those things stop you from coming, because I think it's so worth it. I think that if Japan is on your bucket list, make it happen, because we cannot recommend it enough. We'll definitely be here a third time. I'm so sure of that.
Yeah. But for now, we bid fond farewell to Japan.
In the middle of these beautiful flowers.
Those beautiful flowers.
Thank
I love
you,
this
Japan.
place.
I love you. Sayonara.
Sayonara, Japan. It's been a thrill. We'll be back soon.